Hello, and welcome to my Overwatch League prediction video. Also, as always, I will have another video out on Saturday covering my predictions for the knockouts as well. Let's get started. Paris versus Toronto. Toronto is looking pretty good as of late. This meta is a good look on them. Hangzhou is one of the best Sombras in the world, Aspire is a great Tracer and Michelle is a great Diva. However, I can't trust them all too much. Toronto looked good, but it was against Washington, who are clearly struggling hard, and London, who are London. I think they'll make it close, but Paris just looks so good at this meta. Despite their loss to Boston, I really can't see them losing here. I say Paris takes it 3-2. Florida versus Houston. Florida looked really good last week, but one of my biggest fears is that I may overhype them. They took Atlanta to map 5, but they had VODs to review and were likely underestimated. They also dominated Boston, but they were pretty boomed after the loss to Vancouver. Houston is a top team, so they can probably outplay Florida and get the win, right? I'm going to say no. Florida really look in their element this meta, and while they couldn't close it out against Atlanta, Houston are a different breed. They seem to always flounder against teams when they have to punch up. I think Florida just seem much more comfortable and dangerous right now, and did significantly better against Atlanta than Houston. I'm going to give this to Florida 3-1. Hangzhou versus Chengdu. Chengdu needs all the wins they can get if they want that second seed and aren't going to play around with Hangzhou. Hangzhou is still a decent team, but they seem to have a poor grasp of the meta, especially with Shy's main heroes not being played as much. I give it to Chengdu 3-1. Los Angeles Valiant versus Hangzhou Charge. Hangzhou wins 3-0. London versus Paris. Again, Paris are very good at this meta, especially with their Pharmacy, and I just can't trust London to stand up to them all that well, though they do look rather good right now. I think Paris has just shown much better individual play, and I can trust them to have a higher handling of the meta right now, so I say Paris take this 3-1. San Francisco versus Vancouver. While Vancouver did get their first win, unfortunately they seemed to return to form against the Washington Justice, where they got hard farmed all game. I still think they look decent, but the Shock are going to give every game their all, and they look a lot better as of late. I'm going to give this to the Shock 3-0. Florida versus Los Angeles Gladiators. This is hard to predict for me. Glads has shown to be the more consistent team, but it seems like Florida are returning to their melee selves. Who wins? Honestly, I'm going on a limb and saying Florida. I think Florida's DPS are much better, and OG is a much better ball than Mus, but aside from that, Glads have been more consistent and honestly have seemed a bit better. So, why am I saying Florida wins? I genuinely think they are more clutch than Glads. Florida does have a history of not closing out map 5s, yes, but I think that's more of the teams they are playing being clutch more than them being not clutch. I generally trust the Mayhem to win the map 5 as they pushed Atlanta harder on it than Glads did. They were literally one missed pulse bomb away from winning. I'm going on an extreme limb here and saying Florida take it 3-2. Los Angeles Valiant versus Chengdu Hunters. Chengdu wins 3-0. Hangzhou versus Hangzhou. While this is a rivalry match with some storylines, ultimately Hangzhou is just generally the better team, and are going to be fighting hard to avoid the 0 and 4, considering there is a legitimate chance they miss out on play-ins. Hangzhou take this 3-1. London versus Vancouver. The coveted Bread Bowl. While the excitement has been ruined a bit by Boston, it's still an exciting game. However, I think Vancouver has looked more and more like their old selves as of late than London, who are improving greatly off the back of Shax. I think London is going to be a bit too much, plus they have the added factor of winning their first game. I say London take this 3-1. Los Angeles Gladiators versus Houston Outlaws. Houston is going to be boomed after 2 tough losses, and the Glads will be as good as they always are. I don't expect this to even be that close. Glads take this 3-0. Shock versus Toronto. Again, Toronto seem good, but they've only played lower tier teams, while Shock has looked good and are going to be trying their hardest. Obviously Toronto is putting up a fight here, but ultimately Shock take this 3-1. With that, the teams going to knockouts on the east side are Chengdu, Philadelphia, Seoul and New York. On the western front, we have Atlanta, Florida, San Francisco, Paris, Los Angeles Gladiators and Toronto. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe for more. I upload daily Overwatch League content and I'm trying to hit 100 subs by Season 5, so any subscription helps greatly. Thanks.